Does Palestine matter to Arab leaders? Is it only lip service for those millions who have suffered for generations? But then come to think of it, does even Hamas want Palestine? And if not, does it explain why Israel does with gay abandon what it does to Palestinians? Welcome to yet another edition of WiseHeads. I am your host, Ashish Shukla, on a conflict which has brought humanity to the brink. To begin with, I take you back in history where seeds of this tragedy were sown. It was the British who had promised Arabs the land if they helped bring down the Ottoman Empire during the First World War between 1914 and 1918. But Britain never kept its word. Along with France, they usurped the Arab lands between themselves. Now, to manage this annexed territory, Britain established mandatory Palestine between 1920 and 1948. Prior to it, Britain had made the Balfour Declaration in 1917, which promised Jews a home in Palestine. Subsequently, Jews from around the world began pouring in mandatory Palestine. It alarmed the local Arabs, who naturally were much more than Jews in numbers. As it had to happen, both Palestinians and Jews fell out, claiming the land as their own. It led to the United Nations passing a partition plan between the Jews and Arabs in 1947. The UN partition plan gave 56% of the land to the Jewish state. Arabs, which were much bigger in numbers, were outraged, and it led to Arab-Jews War of 1948. This was the war during which Britain terminated its mandate on Palestine. That very day, the state of Israel was officially declared to the world. After the 1948 war, some 78% of territory was occupied by Israel. West Bank was annexed by Jordan. Egypt took control of the Gaza Strip. Almost 2 decades later, in 1967, there was a fresh war between Israel and Arab. It was the Six-Day War between Israel on one side and primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan on the other side. Israel won this war and snatched both the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip from Egypt. Israel also took over West Bank from Jordan. Like the 1948 war, which the Palestinians called Nakba for displacement of around 700,000 Palestinians, the 1967 war added another 300,000 to this displaced humanity. In the settlement terms, though, Egypt was given Sinai Peninsula if they gave up any claims on the Gaza Strip. Egypt duly accepted the offer. Jordan likewise gave up West Bank and settled for Jordan River as its own boundary. That's the background to history I wanted to share with you. So if you don't see the Arab leaders standing by Palestine, it's because most of them consider this land to be their own. Which Palestine? Which land? These inconvenient questions just don't register with them. Today, Egypt doesn't want any more Palestinians on its territory. Jordan has stopped offering any financial assistance to the West Bank since 1988. It doesn't grant citizenship to Palestinians. It stops 700,000 Palestinian refugees from crossing the Syrian border. Remember, it was no other than the Jordanian army which crushed the PLO in Black September in 1970. It was Kuwait which expelled nearly 400,000 Palestinians after the Gulf War. Lebanon still can't forget that it was the mast of Palestinian refugees which inflamed the civil war. Those refugees camps are virtually the recruitment grounds for Hamas or Fatah. And then you have Syria, which has always considered Palestine and Lebanon as its own territory. Today, the Gaza Strip and the West Bank are two separate territories ruled by rabid factions, Hamas and Fatah. Neither Egypt nor Jordan likes them. Egypt sees Hamas an offshoot of its enemy, Muslim Brotherhood. And Jordan views Fatah as the child of PLO and a danger to its very being. And Hamas, well, more than the Palestinian state, it's the erasure of Israel from the world map, which is on Hamas' mind. That's why Israel does what it does to Palestinians, because it doesn't expect any blowback from the Arab leaders, but it could Israel eliminate 2.3 million Palestinians, it could only do it by either killing them or drowning them in the Mediterranean. Let's believe for a moment that Israel is able to eliminate Hamas. Then what does Israel do with the Gaza Strip? It can't militarily occupy Gaza like it did between 1967 and 2005, for it would financially bleed them dry. It can't ask Fatah or non-Palestinian neutrals to govern the Gaza Strip, and it can't ask neighboring Arab nations to govern Palestine, for which Arab leader would like to be seen following the Israeli diktat. The truth is, as Yasser Arafat once famously said, Palestinians would win because their most effective weapon is the womb of the Palestinian woman. For Israel to allow a two-state solution could pit them perennially against Palestinians who have revenge of decades to avenge. Between crushing Palestinians or embracing them, Israel chooses occasional genocide as a better option. They call it mowing the grass from time to time before it runs wild. Arabs do nothing. The United States protects Israel, and European powers follow the path which Washington lays out for them. Russia and China at best try to douse the fire. The only hope for Palestinians amidst this all is if Saudi Arabia and Iran join hands and work together to cover the wounds of Middle East. But for it to happen, Saudi Arabia would have to completely change its DNA. It might accuse Iran of supporting Hamas and Hezbollah from behind the scenes, but the truth is Saudi Arabia too is seen as a nation which nurtures Islamic terrorism to keep its neighbors in turmoil. It directs its fundamentalist youth to cause mischief abroad, lest they burn their own cities. That's all in today's edition of WiseHeads. It's your host Ashish Shukla who now takes your leave. We meet soon with another burning geopolitical issue of the day, with insights which is unique and not readily available in mass media. If you like WiseHeads, do like, recommend, and subscribe to our channel. Till then, it's goodbye and good luck.